Hi, my name is Peggy Haleve, and I am a great appreciator. I was inspired to become a great appreciator several years ago. And in that inspiration, I was also inspired to write a book. And the name of that book is The Art of Appreciation. It is a beautiful book. And from that inspiration, I have been further inspired by appreciations into many directions. And one additional direction is this show, which I am dedicating to the book, The Art of Appreciation. So the name of it is The Art of Appreciation Show. And yet it expands beyond the book. Although the book is a great basis of understanding this magnificent art of appreciation. I appreciate you joining me for this show. Today is Saturday, May the 28th. Today is Ori's birthday. It's a very special day here at our household. And our show, The Art of Appreciation Show, revolves around appreciations and how appreciations have many components to them, as we've learned in our study. And one is that it refines thoughts. So today's show is on how appreciations refine thoughts. Quite a while ago now, I was inspired in this way into this realm of appreciations. And I'd like to share it with you, although many of you might know this already. And that is that I was listening to the teachings of Abraham, absolutely my favorite spiritual teacher. And I just love that something caught my attention, and that was this refinement that was being provided in these teachings to bring me to an understanding that there was a difference between gratitude and appreciation. Initially, I thought they were the same. Yet, I listened closely to the teachings, and there was one thing above every other thing that struck my interest. And that was that gratitude, which is a wonderful virtue, and it's a marvelous thing to have and do. And gratitude is something that we have as humans. When we are happy that we've received something or experienced the nature of the result of something that we have wanted, and that wanting is often from a place of struggle. So I am in gratitude for having something that I previously did not have. At the same time, I was learning that appreciation was slightly different. And it was enough of a difference to draw me in and have me study appreciations ever since, whereby an appreciation is coming from another place. It is not coming from a place of struggle at all. Appreciation is a pure, positive wave thought. Gratitude is a positive wave thought too. However, again, it comes from that place of thanksgiving, being thankful for something I truly appreciate as I further examined this very small refinement in the way I felt about gratitude versus appreciation. And from that, I wrote a lot about appreciation in the Art of Appreciation book. And right now, I'd just like to read a little portion of that book about this subject. This is my interpretation of what an appreciation is and how it affects me. Appreciation is where I am emotionally when aligned to and in agreement with myself, and while experiencing life through the eyes of Source. Appreciating is a peaceful space encountering self-awareness and God awareness simultaneously. When in the act of appreciation, I am experiencing who I really am without self-imposed binding limitations from fault, blame, shame, or anything that is less than pure. In the act of appreciating myself, I may effortlessly remove external labels given to me from others and from my acceptance or believing that any label actually is me. In other words, self-appreciation reveals to myself and to others the real me. Likewise, in the act of appreciating others, I can remove the labels, names, and titles that identify others. And in so doing, I can see that other person for who they really are. Appreciation is the inclusion of all things that are good to think and feel about. Appreciation is the void from the opposite of hatred or doubt or fear, disempowerment, unworthiness, or anything else that feels bad. In the state of appreciation, I feel good and very close to the presence of God. Appreciation is a state of godliness. Appreciation is the time that prayer is being heard. And that's from the Art of Appreciation book on the chapter called Appreciating Changes Things. And indeed, for me, appreciating does change and has changed and will continue to change things in my life. Today, first I'd like to review the components that I've discovered are in the Art of Appreciation as it relates to appreciations. And the components are as follows. Appreciations strengthen. They bring forth. They create goodness. They stretch imagination. They smooth the details. That's the one we did last week. They refine thought direction. That's the one we're doing this week. They refocus on desires and prioritize original thoughts. They claim victory. They shine a light on others. And they feel like oneness. There seems to me to be some connection between what we did last week and what we're doing this week. And even what we do next week as it relates to the subjects of the subcategories of what appreciations are. Whereas last week we studied that it smooths the details. And this week we study how it refines thought direction. And next week we're going to do refocuses on desires and prioritizes our original thoughts. And each one of those three really have this in common. They're looking at the direction in which our thoughts are being brought through our appreciations in different ways. Looking at them closer, looking at them further away, being more general, being more specific. And that's what Abraham is teaching a lot about these days. that we should really think about our thoughts as they relate to clarifying them. And clarifying thoughts is going to make it easier for you to clarify your appreciations. It made me think of something that we've all heard, and it was something that Mike Dooley says, and he said it in The Secret, and he is just so well known for it now that it's synonymous with his name, I think. And that is, thoughts become things. And that, honestly, that's 3 words. Thoughts become things. And it's very clear, the direction of that. There's only 3 words there, and so much is being said. It sort of reminds me of another 3 little words, the I love you. 3 little words. Thought becomes things. And I love you. And I appreciate you. And I appreciate myself. I appreciate this day. I appreciate my experiences. So we can see through a very, very small amount of appreciations, we start moving into a direction. And that's exactly what this lesson is about. It makes the simple important. Well, indeed, we see that. Thoughts become things. I appreciate you. I appreciate myself. It makes the simple thought important. It points to new avenues of notice. Immediately after I appreciated myself, I said, I appreciate this day. And I appreciate my experiences. Immediately, these appreciations, when we do them in this art, they'll start evolving. They speak onto themselves, they come back into themselves, and they do help you find the way. So they refine your thoughts into a direction, and it happens so willingly. You want to find the direction, and where you're going wants to find you. This is all about the law of attraction. What we're attracted to is attracted to us. And so many times I think we get into thinking that we are only attracted to what we like. And we forget that what we like is also equally being attracted to us. So in this freedom of creating a group of appreciations that start out so simple, I appreciate you, I appreciate myself, allow them to continue and allow them to show you new avenues that you will notice. So it's refining your thought process. It wants to release a valuable message. Your appreciations are sacred sounds. They are sacred gems. I always call them the jewels of my thoughts. They are jewels, and they are helping you understand and release valuable messages to yourself and to other people who you're sharing this with. If you're sharing it with someone, if they're sharing you, their appreciations, you are definitely getting some very valuable messages from them. As you release yours to them, they get valuable messages from you. It rediscovers what was taken for granted. And I love that. There are some times that I'll be speaking to Uri in an appreciation, and I'll say, well, I just take that for granted, and I want to take that for granted. And it is so true. We take for granted so many little things. And when you're doing this art of appreciation, you'll find yourself starting at a place that is the place that you are otherwise maybe taking for granted. So I appreciate you. I appreciate myself. I appreciate this day. So in that, I appreciate something that I've otherwise may have been taking for granted. So it rediscovers what was taken for granted, and it really helps you develop and to massage that understanding, because it is important to indeed look at the simple things, because the simple things are important. Appreciation also searches for its own place in providing benefit. And what I feel in that is that when we start making appreciations in the theme of an art form, we will be finding that they speak back to us, and there's always this constant revelation that provides to you benefits. It benefits you. It feels good to appreciate. It feels good to find appreciations within you. It feels good to accept appreciations that are coming to you. They're coming into your mind. They're coming into your heart. And they combine into this wonderful undulation, this wave. They settle lost emotions into place of new comfort. Almost immediately, as you get into this art, and you move it, and you allow it, and you massage it, and you appreciate it happening, and it starts growing and growing, it will settle emotions into place of new comfort. Things that you may have wanted to express but could have been harder for you to reach into, they start conjuring up in the words that you find, because they're finding you too. And they bring your emotions to places that feel comfortable. Appreciations are only, and by definition, positive. So when you are appreciating and your emotions are getting in there, your emotions will start finding a place of comfort in this expression that has to be a positive expression. So what I'm trying to say is, even when something is bothering you, even when you're going through a contrast, when you start appreciating, it will help you settle the emotions that you have that have evolved from things, both very happy for you, very, very good for you to be experiencing, and also those contrasts, or those things that might even feel that you were avoiding discussing previously. Appreciations through this refinement, of thought direction, also promotes reminders of the simple value in all that is. And here again, there are reminders that'll come up. Try this. It's an amazing thing that happens. Start doing your appreciations. Do them on the very small things. Get them moving, one sentence after the other. Initially, in the beginning, I would imagine, and I've experienced myself, that we usually guided ourselves for about a page worth. We have a notebook, so we would do a page worth, and my husband would do a page worth, and then we would share them back and forth to each other. Sometimes I'd read the entire page and he'd do the same. Sometimes we'd read one each, and every single time either of us had any thought about that, we promoted those thoughts to be shared with each other. So they promoted these appreciations that we were making. They were like simple reminders. They were reminders about things that are just in everything that we're experiencing. It's like pulling the threads together of what makes this world be something that we appreciate in such a special way. And the last one on my subcomponents is that it is a wave yielding its creator positive awareness of common pleasures. So we're dealing with emotions, and we're also dealing with things that are positive, so they feel good. So when you are creating these, you become part of the things that you're creating, because we remember thoughts become things. You become this appreciation, and that wave is yielding to you a positive awareness of common pleasures. These are the kind of common pleasures that we have been taking for granted. One of the most powerful thought directions that gets refined when you do appreciations is that you can actually put yourself into a place where you enable yourself to goal, G-O-A-L, goal yourself into a place that you want to get to. And often, Ori and I want to be in the vortex. We want to really feel good. And we want to get there in ways that when we're there, we're at the right place to stay in there. And what we have found is that when we're doing appreciations, we allow ourselves to follow this impulse that we have, this thought direction that we have, whereby we want to feel better. And we also know when we are not feeling well and when we're not in the vortex. We know the difference between being in the vortex and not being in the vortex. And when we're in the vortex and we are already doing our appreciations, well, that's an easy jump in, so we think. And sometimes, indeed, it is an easy jump in. And I'd like to talk about that further in a few minutes. But right now I want to talk about this other idea that we know when we are not. And we know that appreciations are our sincere, positive take on things. And when we escalate that and we follow that flow, we will be relaxing ourselves back into the vortex. Because just as before I mentioned that we are finding the appreciations that we want to set into pace when we're in this art of appreciation, the things that want to be appreciated into our lives are pursuing us. It's the law of attraction. Additionally, I am pretty sure, or fairly sure, that everyone who's listening has heard of the expression a rampage of appreciation. And there again, in this rampage, you can really see it. And a rampage of appreciation, for those of you who may not know, is when you start revving yourself up and you realize this thing to appreciate, and then you immediately another, and it's a real strong, quick flow, and it's a momentum. And so it becomes a rampage of appreciation. And when we are finished with our rampage of appreciation, we're at a very different place than when we started. And that's exactly what happens in the art of appreciation. And a rampage that's the definition, it's sort of rampaging, it's quick, it's got a momentum, it's moving real quickly. But in the art of appreciation, there's really little need to rush anything. And so one will be refining their thought direction in a more considerate, deliberate way, like a rampage, but in a softer way. And rampages are fabulous, and I love them. And I love listening to Abraham through Esther really come out with a rampage of appreciation. And I do them myself. And yet in this art of appreciation, we're more deliberate and we're more advised by what is coming to us as to how to refine our thought into a direction. So I thought I'd mention that. And as I've already discussed, there's oft times that when we are doing our appreciations, we're already in the vortex, or when we're doing appreciations, we're getting into the vortex, and we get into the vortex. And it's so easy to appreciate when you're in the vortex. And also, I've come to this appreciation, and that is one of the catalysts to joy for me is my change of feelings from inside the vortex. So when I'm in the vortex and I'm doing appreciations, I can watch this direction, and it's definitely a catalyst for more joy in my life when I'm more aware of the momentum and of the deliberateness that is there. Anyway, getting back to the art of appreciation, I just wanted to quickly describe for everyone that this is what I kind of recommend you do as a beginner. You sit and you do your appreciations either by yourself or with someone, but even if you're doing it with someone, you're doing your appreciations by yourself. You're thinking of them, you're writing them down. You may be sharing them afterwards, but you're writing them down individually. And you can do them out loud too, but in the beginning, or do both. That's what we do. We write them down and we speak them out loud. It's, do about 10 of them, do a page of them, and start out very simple sentence structures rather than major compound subjects without a but in it. And even if you have an and in it, reduce the ands so that you can have very simple structure so that you can refine these a little bit later on as you review them. And you can always add to them. So I recommend you do 10. You do one about yourself, one about something outside of yourself, one about if you have a partnership in your partnership. And now we're looking at doing these futures. So we're looking at direction. So we want to, if you're appreciating something about the current moment, that's a very nice thing to do, or about the past. But also take your appreciations into the direction of the future. So I recommend highly that you then do a couplet, and the couplet will be something about yourself in the future, something about something outside of yourself in the future. And then do them a couple times, a couple couplets, and then add to them some of your specific needs in your environment, something very special to you. Like for Ori and I, it's our relationship with each other. It's also our relationship with our children, and with our siblings, and with my father. So we have other relationships outside of the one that we love the best, which is our relationship with each other. But far above that, we know that the relationship that we have with ourselves is really what is bringing us the power to really appreciate anything outside of ourselves. Anyway, I noticed that this show is closing. Our time is nearly out. So I wanted to, again, thank you and tell you I appreciate you being here. And I will hopefully have you join us next week when we continue this process, which is going to be on appreciations, refocus on desires, and prioritize our original thoughts. And you'll find that each one of these are clearly similar, and some of the thoughts that we're having through them are definitely overlapping. However, they are unique. Thank you for being here. Have a wonderful week appreciating, and I'll see you next Saturday. Bye.